Hey yo, what it do, baby? It's your boy Dynamic, and today I'm bringing you some Black Ops 2 commentary. And the topic that I'm going to talk about today is the Trayvon Martin shooting and the George Zimmerman trial and racism in America. And I have no set order of what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to say some of the things that I was thinking about lately, about the case and about what happened, because I think that something really important that is going on in the U.S. If you guys don't know what happened, you should look it up on Google. But basically what happened is a kid was jumping over a gated community, over a fence, and some guy saw him. It was nighttime. He thought it looked suspicious. He thought the kid looked suspicious, and basically a couple minutes later they confronted each other. Somehow there was a scuffle, a fight broke out, and the kid, from what all the evidence said, was on top of this guy, George Zimmerman. He was grabbing George Zimmerman and pounding his head into the ground. And what people said, basically the big controversy in this was him shooting the kid when the kid was on top of him, beating him. Was that shooting justified when George Zimmerman basically, I'm not going to say chased, I'm going to say he followed the kid because he thought he thought he looked suspicious, and he was doing some, who knows what he was doing in his neighborhood. That's what he was thinking. My opinion is, I don't see it that way. My opinion is, if I'm a person that's put in charge by the community to watch out for my neighborhood or my gated community or whatever, if I see someone jumping a fence, that already is going to make me kind of suspicious, especially if there's been burglaries in the area and stuff like that. So of course it's gonna make me suspicious if I see someone jumping a fence in my gated community. And was people saying that he found him suspicious because the kid was black, because this kid Trayvon Martin was black. That's what the big controversy is all about here, whether George Zimmerman shot him or chased him or followed him because he was black. And I want to state my opinion without wanting to sound racist. Nowadays, you don't know what you say, other people could take it as racist. Usually when a black person is at a store, the black person is usually followed. Not every time, but sometimes. I don't know if most of the times, because I'm not black, even though sometimes I sound like I'm black because of where I grew up in, but that's another story. But usually when someone that is black is walking on the sidewalk and someone's parked in a car or something like that, usually the person that's inside the car will lock the door of the car. Not every time, but sometimes or most of the time. But it happens because a person is black. And to me, that's not racist. This is the reason why it's not racist to me. Because as humans, we're biologically designed to be able to see patterns, right? In order, if you can't recognize patterns as a human being, then you have a very poor chance of survival. Maybe not nowadays, but back in the days when everything was all about scavenging and gathering food and hunting and stuff, you had to be able to recognize patterns in order for you to be able to survive. And the pattern that I most recognize is that, unfortunately, blacks in the U.S. commit a disproportionate amount of crime compared to whites and Latinos and the rest of the minorities and stuff. They commit a disproportionate amount of crime. And how can I say this? Me thinking that a person, because that person is black, might be more inclined to commit a crime against me, doesn't make me racist. At least I think so. To me, racism is the belief that because you are a certain race, that you're either better or that you're worse. Not worse, but that you're better and over another person that's another color. That's just freaking retarded to me. That shit makes no sense at all to me. You know, that's everybody's the same. Now, what we could say is that blacks, because of the system, they are in a worse position, and we all know how human beings react when they have when you're basically backed up against a wall and you have little to stand on. And I guess that you could say that's racial stereotyping, but you could stereotype and it has nothing to do with race. And I don't even think racial stereotyping is necessarily being racist. It shouldn't exist, but it's not being racist, because if I walk down a sidewalk and I see a white guy looking like a thug, full of tattoos, and just straight up looking like a straight up criminal, I'm not gonna. Something about me is just gonna feel not safe. It's just the way it is, and appearance has a lot to do with. Usually, a person that looks like that is more inclined to commit a crime than a person to commit a violent crime. Let me put it that way. Than a person who's over here dressed in a suit every day, and that's just human nature. We tend to take statistics and something that is more common, and I don't know. I hope you guys know what I mean. I hope this does not sound racist, because like I said before, my belief is that racism is when you seriously believe that because your skin color is a certain type, that you are better than someone else who has a different skin color. And not just white people are racist, there's black people that are racist. Anyways, when it comes to this case, I don't think that the older guy, George Zimmerman, the one who ended up shooting Trayvon Martin, I don't think the reason that he went after him was because he was black. I think if he wouldn't have seen him jump the fence, maybe his eyebrows wouldn't have been raised and he wouldn't have been suspicious on the kid. I seriously believe that that's what happened, and it was bad judgment on both parties' side because they both made bad decisions. Because if I would have been Trayvon Martin, I would have just been like, when George Zimmerman would have came up to me, I would have been like, hey, I'm staying with my uncle or whoever he was staying with, and there is no problem. I'm not doing anything wrong. And I would have never reacted violently if the guy was just coming up to me. I would have been like, But at the same time, I understand that George Zimmerman shouldn't have gone up to him. But hey, that's what happened, and you can't change life, and there's no way you can tell if the guy was racist. At least to me, it does not seem that way. It seems to me he acted just out of suspicion, not because of race. Because if you live in a gated community, you see a guy jumping over the fence and he's wearing a hoodie. I know hoodies are not illegal to wear, but that's human nature. It makes you suspicious because that's what you're used to thinking that criminals look like. And even though that's stereotyping is part of human nature, you need it because it helps with survival. So anyways, I think instead of black leaders pointing the finger and saying it's racism and using racism as an excuse for everything that happens, I think they should really stand up and empower black people to get out of poverty and try to change the system that gives fuel to racial stereotyping. Anyways, I hope you guys like this commentary. Rate, comment, subscribe, and peace out, players. Oh my god.